This financial profile is typical of an asset-light tech monopoly, not a heavy manufacturer. We see return on capital employed exceeding 30%, return on equity over 20%, and near zero debt. These returns pair with high-velocity growth, compounding revenue at 20% annually. These metrics belong to Polycab India Limited. Their core business is the production of heavy power cables and industrial wiring, a sector traditionally defined by grit, not high-margin efficiency. The wire and cable industry is a difficult environment for capital efficiency. It is historically commoditized, requires immense capital, and is completely exposed to the cyclical nature of government infrastructure and real estate cycles. Polycab is a distinct industrial paradox. They combined the physical output of a legacy manufacturer with the financial margins of a modern consumer brand. This financial performance is not an accident of the market. It is the result of a strategy that used a business-to-business institutional network as a vehicle for a massive consumer retail pivot. We trace this mechanism through 4 operational nodes: raw material procurement, backward integration, 4,000 direct dealers, and 200,000 retailers. The first half acts defensively, insulating margins from commodity volatility. The second half acts offensively, capturing the consumer market without building a new pipeline. Mapping this specific architectural shift reveals how legacy industrial firms can capture retail market share while simultaneously improving their underlying capital efficiency. At the first node, raw material procurement, the business faces its greatest risk: the extreme price volatility of global copper and aluminum markets. Because metals constitute the majority of raw material costs, sudden price spikes often destroy the gross margins of unorganized players who lack scale. Polycab mitigates this risk by bringing the primary processing stages in-house. By integrating backward into copper rod production, PVC compounding, and metal drawing, they capture operating margins at every step of the manufacturing process that their competitors must outsource. This integration grants them significant price flexibility. During periods of commodity inflation, they can pass input cost pressures onto the market faster than smaller peers, maintaining their baseline profitability. Technical partnerships allow them to extend this manufacturing moat into specialized markets, like extra high-voltage utility cables, capable of handling up to 550 kilovolts. This strategy transforms raw material volatility into a pricing moat, securing the capital required to fund their expansion into consumer retail. Moving right, we find the primary structural moat, the dealer network. This pipeline consists of 4,300 distributors feeding inventory into 200,000 retail counters nationwide. The efficiency stems from dual distribution channel routing, where a single distributor serves 2 distinct end markets simultaneously. One route supplies institutional business-to-business buyers, executing large-scale project demands, such as commercial real estate and government infrastructure. The second route, served by that exact same distributor, reaches the local retail counter to supply housing wires and electrical goods directly to the consumer. Managing this volume of physical inventory requires high liquidity. Polycab maintains tight working capital cycles by enforcing disciplined credit terms, ensuring they don't trap cash in the supply chain as they scale. Because this dual-density distribution takes decades to build and significant capital to maintain, it creates a barrier to entry that is effectively prohibitive for smaller regional competitors. In 2014, Polycab launched Project Leap. This was a 5-year transformation designed to transition their brand from a utility manufacturer to a modern lifestyle provider. Instead of building a new retail footprint, they pushed a fast-moving electrical goods portfolio, including fans and lighting, through existing institutional pipelines. While competitors rely on third-party manufacturing, Polycab applied backward integration, producing switches in-house for absolute margin control. To modernize their technology, they acquired Sylvan Innovation Labs in 2021. This acquisition integrated Internet of Things and smart home automation capabilities directly into their existing manufacturing base. Project Leap maximized EBITDA margins by exploiting the sunk costs of their distribution network, selling high-margin consumer goods through channels that were already established and profitable. Looking at the completed architectural flowchart, the logic of the business becomes clear. Every node is synchronized to minimize cost and maximize market reach. This operational efficiency is what drives the 30% return on capital employed. The high-volume industrial business provides the scale, while the consumer retail business provides the margin. This cycle generates enough internal cash flow to fund ongoing capital expenditures, allowing Polycab to expand without the need for external debt. The model is currently being accelerated by structural shifts in the economy. New tax implementations and manufacturing standards are raising the cost of doing business. These formalization tailwinds make it difficult for unorganized local players to survive, as they lack the scale to absorb compliance and digitization costs. As a result, market share is continuously shifting toward organized leaders who can leverage their existing scale to absorb these costs. For corporate strategists, the lesson is that business-to-business industrial leaders have a massive latent advantage in consumer markets if they can repurpose their dealer networks for retail sales. Premium financial returns in heavy industry are found when a company stops treating its supply chain as a cost center and begins treating it as a proprietary compounding asset.